tactics that are being used, and it's not all by one side. There's two sides to this. But there is a thing called fact check. Don't go to fact checker or some of the others, because a bunch of phony ones have come into being.
Where do you go for the real dope? Then I'll let Fred speak. He wants to say something here.
Oh.
It's www.
Yeah, I just want to respond to a couple things.
www.factcheck.org.
What do you look up in Google? That's the easy way.
Yeah, put it in Google. But no, don't just look up for fact checker in Google, because
what do you look up in Google?
You have to find one that has no axe to grind.
Okay, Fred wants to talk.
No, my only concern is I debate whether it should be government or private run. But the other thing that I'm very concerned about, and you, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, a lot of times there tends to be, you get a plan working and then you find you got a crook, you got a bad apple. I want to make sure if we do a health care plan, that it's fairly run, it's run by honest people. And that's a pretty good assurance that maybe you'll have something that may work, because I don't want to see people go without health care insurance either. But I also think that we at least take the time, and the town hall meetings that I've been in, it seemed like people just came there for answers. And so until we have all the questions answered, because this thing that...
That's why I asked if you had read it, because
yeah.
if you haven't read it, you really can't,
well,
I don't
yeah.
feel you can
but I think
pontificate on its goodnesses or badness.
Right. But I think you'll have to agree there's just some basic questions that have to be answered, and of course I listen to Fox News also, and I seem to get the best answers there, because
oh boy,
they seem to be the ones that are...
You notice over and over they repeat the fair and balanced news, well, fair and balanced news, they say it every few minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
And you remember Himmler said if you
Yep.
repeat a lie enough,
Yep.
it becomes the truth.
Yep.
Do you watch John or Glenn Beck?
Oh yeah.
And?
Or Bill O'Reilly. You know, I enjoy listening to them, and I enjoy listening to it in the news in the morning. You know, so I'm just working my way through it, and I'm not against a national health care system, but I just...
Well, privately owned is what we've had for these many, many years, and frankly, it's not working. When you can refuse somebody insurance because they're sick, I mean, what is insurance for except if you're sick?
Yeah, well, Long Island, I used to live in Long Island not too long ago, and there was a big industry down there making little brass plaques that every doctor and dentist had in his office. We do not accept Medicaid because of the fact that they've stopped paying basically what everybody else pays even, you know. They have disconnected with the system.
Yep. But we'll see where it goes, and I certainly am not against national health care insurance.
And my last point is there was an election. And I believe that election spoke very strongly for the fact that the American public is ready.
75% of Americans in the last poll they took would demand a public option, a public health care system. If you can't afford the gold feathers of the, incidentally, in New York State has the Cadillac of all health care systems under Medicare. Under Medicaid, it's fantastic. But and I wouldn't mind if they wouldn't transplant a heart into me when I'm 90. I mean, there could be some exclusions here. Okay, caller, does that solve your question?
Yes, and I suggest that anybody that can make it through, try reading what is proposed before you say, I don't want this or I don't want that, because it is difficult to get through it, though, I will tell you that.
Well, you know, preliminary plans are just that. And what is it? They said 680 pages or no?
1,100
pages is the preliminary plan. And Congress, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you a secret right now. Legislators don't read all this stuff.
Well, no kidding.
I didn't read that, but I read my own legislation tonight.
Well, I exclude you. I'm talking about the Congress. The Congress does not read 1,100 pages, and many of them have trouble reading it. But they're rich. That's the nice thing about it. Anybody in the United States Congress is a millionaire, and some of them are semi-billionaires. That's the only way you get into Congress is you've got to be a multimillionaire. You cannot get in there if you're poor.
You're probably right.
There's no way you could even run for office.
I don't think we'll make it then, will we, Reed?
No, I don't think you and I have a Chinaman's chance. I don't think, well, you know, I'm the first one they're going to round, you know what, under this program, according to the Republican dissenters, is a 5-year check for whether you want to live or not. And you're supposed to go to, apparently, according to what we're being told, you will go before a health care advisor, and he'll ask you, do you want to live or die, you know?
Really?
And yeah. And so I'm going to say very simply, yeah, I want to die. And then I want to see what he's going to do. He's going to pull out a gun and shoot me?
I doubt it.
A one-way ticket to Oregon where you can have assisted suicide? What are they going to do if I say, yeah, I want to die right now, as soon as possible? What do they do?
I don't know. You'll have to tell me when you go.
Well, thank you very much, and just keep your minds open and do it for yourself. Don't listen to Fox News. Don't listen to MSNBC. Do not listen to the
Don't
people
listen
that
to
have...
anybody. Just shut your ears down. Go to Canada.
don't
BBC, listen to them. They'll tell you the truth
Don't
about it.
listen to those with axes to grind.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well, anybody who supports the insurance company has an axe to grind because they're making multi-million, and they're paying our Congress off big time. Over $100 million to Congress this year.
Really?
They're paying them off big time. Oh yeah, read Time magazine on it. They're paying off big time, and they don't want to lose that $1 trillion a year they get in income. Holy mackerel, that's a lot of bananas, Fred.
Yeah.
Beats hell out of farming cattle.
Yes, it does.
Cattle farming. You know, Fred has a big cattle farm.
That's not good. We have about 150.
150 cows, and you're losing money on every
Well, we
gallon
are.
of milk you
Yes,
sell.
we are, and it's not a good thing.
Yeah,
We'll
what's going to happen?
Well,
how long are people going to milk cows and support the cows and feed the cows and inoculate the cows and everything when they're losing money?
Well, it's like, I hope this country wakes up someday and they don't import their food from other countries because they're in deep jeopardy. But we're going to lose 30% of our dairymen by spring if we don't get some kind of price increase
relief,
out of the price. People.
What caused the price to fall below the cost? How can that happen?
The one thing that we had before, we had a rising world market.
Yeah.
The dollar was getting stronger. We've lost that now because of the fact that the dollar has come down, and the fact that we do have plenty of milk on the market right now, and prices have dropped tremendously. The demand has fallen off, but then our price for input costs. So there isn't a dairyman in this county, in fact in this nation, that is not borrowing money.
In the world, you know, in
Yep.
Belgium, I guess it was, the farmers just pour their milk right out on the streets. They say,
Well,
better this than to sell at a loss.
We can't afford to do that. Farmers have payments, and dumping your milk is not the answer.
A few gallons down on Main Street would be, you know, symbolic. You don't
I
have to dump
suppose
a
it'd be
lot,
symbolic, but I probably wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't, not even a gallon or two, you know?
Well, okay, Reed.
Fred is not an activist, I can see that.
No, I'd like to get the job done. We do need the price to come back. It's not good out there.
And again, incidentally, this is the same with other farm products up here. Grapes are falling to the point of where you can barely make a living.
Yes.
Because the Chinese put in 25 trillion acres or something like that of Concords.
Yes.
And Uruguay has put in zillions of acres. And so at this point, everybody in the world is raising Concords because they do like grape juice. The Orient loves it.
And don't forget, number one business in this county and this state is agriculture.
Yeah, and the prices are dropping to the point where all the littler farms are closing. You can't be in agriculture unless you have a monster farm.
Well, there are some out there. I have a young man at my farm. There's a lot of Amish around the area that are trying to make a living.
Yeah.
If their prices come back $3 a hundred, my farm would have about a $5,000 income per month greater.
Good Lord.
Than it has now. So
yeah, which you're at break even, so you still wouldn't have very much money when you.
Well, I'm losing money now. If my wife didn't work and
you get up at 4 in the morning to milk.
Well, I don't get up that time anymore. Every day.
What do you do?
I get up at like 5:30. That's soon
5:30,
enough. I used to. Yeah, the fella that does my milking on my farm gets here at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's it.
And many farmers do.
Sure, it's a job, and then you got to milk them at night too.
Well, you sure do. That's twice a day, Reed.
Yeah.
Yep.
What time do you milk them at night?
Same time. We start about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm done by 6:30.
What are the expenses for running a cattle farm? There's a lot of people up here who have dairy farms.
Oh, there's tremendous amount of people.
You got to pay for hay, right?
Oh, you got to boil the money. You got to have money to buy the cows. You got to have money to buy.
What's a cow cost, roughly?
Well, a year ago now, they were bringing up over $1,500 a piece.
$1,500 for just a
But
milk.
that's one of the problems. See, with a drop in milk price, you have a drop in cattle prices. So these cattle that were bringing $1,500 a head a year ago are only bringing between $800 and $1,000.
So it's dropped to almost a half.
Well, yeah, it's getting close. But bear that in mind. There went your equity. You know, you had a cow a year ago that was worth $1,500. Now she's worth $1,000 or $800. That's all equity. So it's not just the expense. So that farmer has to go borrow on his equity, or he has to go to a bank and borrow the money, and all that money has to be paid back. So that's the problem with what's happening in the dairy industry.
So they're actually borrowing, they're using their credit card essentially, like everybody else is to
You're
survive.
not, well, that or probably not the credit card unless you really have to. They go to work with their banker. The best thing a farmer
Same idea
can.
though, debt is debt.
Debt, it's debt. And that's why you're not seeing a lot of major expansions right now.
Uh-huh.
Because